giving away like one of their lead stories is that a sumo wrestler came out and said that the sumo bouts are being rigged. Well, who gives a damn about a Japanese sport? And I read it from cover to cover, and there was a few useful things in there that I had questions about that were answered, but not like it used to be. And Clay, I've got something I want to bring up to your listeners that I think is very important.
Okay.
In this country, we have what they call superbugs. That's spelled B-U-G-S. They're bacteria. Well, there goes the suburban again. They're bacteria that there is no treatment for and no cure for. The most devastating one of the bunch is gram-negative bacteria, and there's over 2,000 strains, and 8 of them are fatal if caught. Now, the AMA and the hospitals all over the country state uncategorically that this is an affliction that you get only in hospitals. Well, that's not true. My wife died of one, and she contacted it right here. In fact, she used to sit right where I'm sitting. I'm before her computer, and she contacted it right here at 620 Edna Street in Pueblo, Colorado. While the people aren't being told the truth about this bacteria, 7 out of 10 deaths in hospitals are all from this bacteria. And again, it's not just the government that lies to us. It's medical institutions you should have a degree of competence in. And when their word isn't any good, then what's the next profession that's going to come out?
All right, what you pronounce that new bug again, so we can do a search on that.
Okay, it's gram, spelled G-R-A-M, negative bacteria. Now, it resides in our bodies and around our lower intestines. And when it gets in conflict with our immune system, most of us are fortunate enough to have a powerful enough immune system to take care of it. But some of us aren't. For example, my wife. And I was told, I haven't seen the show, but Dr. Oz had an hour program on it one day where he warned people about it. You can find it on the internet, and there's 2 specific kinds that my wife had that killed her. And the people in this country need to know about it.
Now, you've already mentioned the fact that every other ad on television is for some kind of pharmaceutical. The pharmaceutical companies have up to a 7,000% markup on things, 2,000 I think on Valium, up to 7,000% on Luvox or some other something to be good for you, right? It'll be good for you. You need to take this to lose weight, to boost up your negative ions or whatever, you know. But the side effects and the contraindications make it appear that they want to kill us. Now, this bacteria is coming out of hospitals. Again, and it's fatal 90% of the time.
About 99%.
The food supply.
There's 2 cases that have been cured that are on record of this infection. One person was a sports figure, and I don't remember who it is, and another person was a 60-year-old woman. But I don't, when I was researching it, I didn't bother to look that up. I wanted to find out about the disease. And I found out that we're being lied to, or not being told, which is the same. Hiding information is just like lying about information. And especially something of this magnitude. It's estimated right now by various government organizations, and you never know if they're telling the truth or not, that there's 25,000 people a day, minimum, worldwide dying of this. And I guarantee you the majority of your listeners have never heard of it. I know when I first found out what it was, I had never heard of it. Not that I'm supposed to know everything.
The New York Times has this story on it. A minor league pitcher in his younger days, Richard Armbuster, kept playing baseball recreational into his 70s until his right hip started bothering him. Last February, he went into a St. Louis hospital for what was to be a routine hip replacement. By late March, Mr. Armbuster was then 78, was dead after a series of post-surgical complications. The final blow was a bloodstream infection that sent him into shock, resisted treatments with antibiotics. Never in my wildest dreams did I think my dad would walk in for a hip replacement and be dead 2 months later. Not until the day that he died did a laboratory culture identify the organism that had infected him, Acinetobacter baumannii. The germ is one of a category of bacteria that by some estimates are already killing tens of thousands of hospital patients each year. While the organisms do not receive as much attention as the one known as MRSA for methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, some infectious disease specialists say they could emerge as a bigger threat.
Well, if there's ever going to be an Armageddon, it's going to come from something like this. And I know that this country, if they work together, they can solve almost any problem. But if they don't know what the problem is, they can't solve it.
All right. Is there, you got any solutions for this? I mean, the hospital, in my opinion, hospital, they send you to a hospital so you can die there. More people die in hospitals than from smoking marijuana, you know.
Every 7 out of 10 people that die in the hospital have gram-negative bacterial infections. And that's worldwide.
Is this potentially...
When the National Institute of Health comes out and says that it's killing a minimum of 25,000 people a day, then the human race better start breeding, because it's not going to take long until that figures up to 50 and then to 100,000 or more, unless they find a cure for it.
But it's antibiotic resistant. So are we talking about a bread bug? Is this part of the biological warfare that's I think is being conducted on the American people every day in the form of chemtrails?
Well, it's there's no cure for it. There is no medicine manufactured by anyone that can have any effect on it. And this is something that I think even blindsided the government. They've been told about it and they know about it, but they're not doing anything about it. There's a couple of labs that are working on it, but they haven't even got their first base yet. And it bothers me that people, the ones that have heard about it, they're voicing their opinions and so on, but it's not being very effective.
What do you know about the FEMA camps that have been going on? I just had William Lewis's wife on. He's another person that's been trying to tell the truth about what's going on. Did a nice film on the FEMA camps, and suddenly got sick again, and so he's not even able to do a show. His wife's doing the shows for him. What, are they getting ready to hurt us? I mean, over 60 million white Christian Russians were killed, murdered, starved to death after the Soviet Union took over Russia. What, isn't that what they're setting us up for here in this country, Ron?
Well, it could be, and that's where the biggest problem of this gram-negative bacteria is in Russia. And it's completely out of control. And the Russian government is hiding it just like our government is hiding it. They don't want people to know.
Well, they don't want the American people to know much of anything.
I had a doctor from Sweden call me, a female, and she stated that the government put out a ruling where this was not even to be mentioned or discussed by the medical profession or anyone else.
Now, again, we're just talking about Social Security here. If you live too long past 65, man, it taps into too much Social Security. So they want us to they want us to kill. Is this infection did it just suddenly happen, or was it created to do exactly what they want to reduce the world population? They wrote that in stone, Ron. They wrote that in stone, the Georgia Guidestones. They want to reduce it by the world's population to a manageable 500 million. That'd be about 10% or 2% elite, and the rest of you slaves. What about it?
Well, this was actually occurred. This disease occurred first in the hospitals, and all of your officials with the hospitals and the EMA say they could only be contacted in a hospital or a medical institution. They said the same thing about staph infections, and soon people were being admitted with staph infections. Well, the same thing applies to this disease. My wife went into the hospital with it. She didn't contact it there. I took her into the hospital at 2 o'clock. At 5 o'clock, she called me at home and said my surgery's been canceled. She went in to have open heart surgery. And I said, why? And she says, I got an infection. And I said, what kind of an infection? And she said, well, a staph infection, I think. And I said, honey, you don't walk through the door of a hospital and catch a staph infection. And it took me months to put a name on what she died of. And everybody that's confirmed it now, including a physician at the hospital, are all looking over their shoulder thinking they're going to be found out. Now, this is a sad state of affairs for our country to be in over something like this.
All right. What about the attack on the food supply? Ninth plank on the Communist Manifesto is corporate farms. We've got pictures been coming across my desk of corporate farms in Saudi Arabia. They're really starting to farm there, and the lady grandma I had on, her trust there is backed by a contract from a fertilizer producing country. So they're trying to lock up all the fertilizer, all the arid lands, create corporate farms, close down the American farmers. You got anything to comment on that?
No, I've heard that, and I haven't really spent any time on it. I've got a medical situation where I was just diagnosed with muscular dystrophy. And the first thing the man that told me I had it said, what do you know about it? And I said, well, I always thought it was a kid's disease. And he said, that's because of Jerry Lewis and the telephone. And I said, how in the hell can I be one of Jerry's kids when I'm older than Jerry? So we're dealing with misinformation and disinformation and outright lying.
Well, that's what propaganda is. I mean, it's 90% truth and then 10% lies or no factual information. Ron, so what do you? I mean, wait a minute. I'm not understanding exactly what you're seeing here. I understand you being pretty focusing on the on your wife's death and that particular disease, but heart disease kills everybody. Tobacco's killing hundreds of thousands of people a year. Legal pharmaceuticals, just what they're feeding you. And you talk about that being the complications. It looks like they are trying to kill the American people. Now the whole food situation is spiraling out of control. They're predicting worldwide food shortages right now. But they're building more corporate farms, and foreign companies are coming to America to buy up the old family farm so they can turn it into another corporate farm. Growing genetically modified crops that rats won't eat, the Monsanto genetically modified crops. I mean, this looks a little suspicious to me, Ron. I mean, this is organized. This is planned, coordinated, controlled. S510 in the Senate, so they can come in and inspect your garden if you've got a garden in the backyard. Hello? What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
Something wrong with that.
Well, I can't answer that. I don't know it. I'm going to have to leave the line. Somebody is coming to my front door in a suit.
Oh, maybe you should leave. Maybe you should leave the phone open. Take the phone with you. Go answer it. Go say hello, and let me say hello to them. Can you take the phone to the door?
Well, they're going back out to their vehicle.
What kind of vehicle?
It's a truck. But he's in a suit.
You want to run catch him? Hold on.
Hold on. I'm going to lay the phone down, Clay.
Okay, I'll hold on. I'll hold on here. This ought to be interesting. Frankly, I don't think he said anything that's a threat to national security. So, yeah, Mr. Bumpus, yeah, we're talking about reality here. What's happening here is real, and we need to understand that. I've always referred to myself as the canary in the coal mine. When they come after me, then because of what I'm saying, because of what I'm talking about, all of a sudden, I'm a subversive because what? I'm trying to get to the truth. I'm interviewing people. I want to know the truth. I want to do some of my own investigations. I want to see how the government's conducting their investigations. Since we've gone through 9/11, since we've gone through the Warren Commission, we certainly are justified in questioning what our government tells us. You back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Who was it?
I heard you mention the Warren Commission. I used to work for Earl Warren. He was on the Committee of 16. Know him well.
What's your conclusions about that? Now, I've got another friend, again, that's dead, that was sitting on the railroad bridge over Elm Avenue and says he saw two men in suits shoot Kennedy on either side of the railroad bridge over Elm.
Well, I've heard that also, and I really haven't given it a lot of thought because not many people know really what happened there, and not many people know who was behind it or why. But I'll tell you this, the Federal Reserve ordered it because of Kennedy putting out the U.S. dollars, the $6 billion that he had out, and I don't care what anybody says. That was the reason.
You're exactly right. I carry one of his $5 bills around. I'm told it's worth $10,000 now.
Well, it's not worth that, but it's worth a bunch of money, and I've got several dollars of it, but that was the reason Kennedy was assassinated.
You're absolutely right about that. Anytime anybody interferes with the banksters, and come on, Ron, I mean, this whole bailout that Bush did as he was leaving, gave the banks $2 trillion to bail out the banks, and so the Federal Reserve used your money, your taxpayer dollars, to enrich themselves. They were the owners. The banks that they bailed out were the banks that owned the Federal Reserve.
Gee, and it's so obvious. It's right in front of everybody, and they can't see it.
I mean, it shouldn't take a genius to realize somebody's picking your pocket. Somebody is ripping you off big time here. And we also got another little problem that we'll be talking about later in the week, and with True Ought, and that's these red Chinese communities, trade zones, 230 trade zones staffed and run by the communist Chinese in America. That's coming, folks. That's on the horizon. Have you heard about that, Ron?
Yes, I have. And I'm like a lot of people. I'm not being complacent. It's just I don't think that things like that can happen. Now, I may be wrong, but
already happening. They've got the list on them. I'll put a list up on my website. A list of the locations, the name of the people that are running them. There's 232 of them in every state. They're in every state. In every state also, they have kind of dusted off and refined the whole MJTF, the Multi-Jurisdictional Task Force. They now got their own offices, and as a result of Senate Bill 1959, House Bill 1955, the Homegrown Terrorist Act, they have formed fusion centers in every state, and these fusion centers are designed to cooperate, work together with the police, with the Army, with the Department of Homeland Security, with the FBI. In other words, the feds are moving in and taking over your local police stations. in my opinion.
Well, that could be. I don't see it happening, but then, you know, there's a lot of things that I didn't see happening that had I could have been of some assistance to, but, you know, you're in a position, Clay, where you get a lot of information that a lot of people wouldn't pay any attention to. On the other hand, they are complacent, like I tend to be on certain things, and when it happens, we're all genuinely surprised by it. And this could be the case.
Well, I have one advantage. I won't be surprised when it happens.
Well, you're conditioned. You know, you've seen too many things happen that you wouldn't have believed in years ago.
Yeah, it's my opinion. I was just saying, somebody said, you know, should I prepare for World War III? In my opinion, we have been in Armageddon for the last 100 years, but you know, the press doesn't want to tell you that.
Well, I'm going to tell you a lot of things.
Yeah, they kind of like that. All right, Ron, I'm going to let you go. I appreciate you being on my show. Nice talking to you again, and keep me informed. Let me know what the government thinks about this show.
Okay, I shall. In fact, I'll probably be getting a call any time now. So you have a good day. Thank your listeners for coming in and listening to an old man.
All right. Ron Jackson, thank you.
I've been around the block a few times.
God bless you, and take care of you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay.
All right. Now, let me see here real quick. You've been hanging on the line for the whole show here. Is this Dr. Osh? Dr. Awad?
Yes.
Yeah, Doc.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we got 1 minute remaining. Tell people about the gold, and it's still up on my website. All you got to do is fill out the form, send it to me, and sign up. You got 56 seconds. Go ahead, Doc. Tell us about it.
Thank you. It was a very informative show. I won't be surprised, like you too, if something happened, what he said. But the best protection you have, if you don't have one, is to get in touch with Clay, so he can tell you how to take control of your life by converting some of your fiat paper money, which might be worth nothing in the future, to real money, which is silver and gold, with KB Gold. And we have a show coming, and his show every Tuesday morning. We encourage you to plug into his show every day, especially on Tuesday, to learn more about KB Gold. Thank you, Clay.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And folks, you can give me a call, order some books. We got books available. 505-908-9498. Okay. And what do I got to do here? Oh, yeah. Got to do this.
Call recording has been completed.
Wait a minute, Skype here. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. 505-908-9498.